Hello, good morning. Welcome to News Our Life on GBC News and Governance Channel. I am Valencia Tete. Now, when the country's lawmakers held their festival on online lessons and carols at the forecourt of Parliament, the chairman of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Eric Nyameche, expressed his deep concern about what he calls monetization of politics in Ghana. Addressing parliamentarians, Apostle Nyameche said that trend has led to political office being given to the highest bidder and not men with integrity and the goodwill to serve Ghanaians. He called on all stakeholders to take a second look at this dangerous trend of monetization of politics, which is paving way for all manner of people with bad intentions to enter politics.
The suggestion that I'm going to offer is this: live and work for the good of people. Live and work for the good of people. Maybe I should turn here and look at the face of my parliamentarians. You are making democracy too expensive. Yeah. The monetization of what we call democracy is dangerous. Soon, we are not going to have good leaders because we will need people who have cash, and it doesn't matter where they got the money from. They will win the constituency election. Now, this thing is dangerous. If we think that we cannot follow this American democracy, please let us stop it. Let us design something that will help this nation. It is dangerous, and I'm even afraid of the future. How can you deceive people just by buying cutlass for them? And you pride yourself in it. What a shame. I pray that God will save this land. God will save this land, because many of us are poor. Instead of investing into them, you deceive them with lanterns and cutlasses. May God have mercy upon us. See, when you do this, the day you are no longer the constituency leader, nobody cares about you.
Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu, and other dignitaries were Parliament guests when they joined the Speaker, Mr. Abangbagwe, and the lawmakers for the Parliament's 9 lessons and carols. During the exhortation, the chairman of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Eric Nyameche, encouraged the gathering and Ghanaians to emulate Jesus and strive for a name without blemish in all their lives to impact society positively.
The ambience at the forecourt of Parliament certainly puts Christmas in the air, capturing the wonder, beauty and spirit of the season. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Speaker of Parliament Mr. Alban Bagbin, Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu, lawmakers, the clergy, members of the diplomatic corps, policy makers, heads of the political parties were present to share in the service of Christian worship at the forecourt of Parliament. With a poetry performance on the birth of Jesus Christ and importance of peace by Rita Crunchy of Children of Ghana, set the tone for the night.
What our children say to us too: we are watching you, we are learning. Indeed, Sikam Pedede, but Ghana Nyamedie or Pedede. So let's shout out his praises for the whole world to know what he has done for us.
The voices of democracy welcomed the gathering with the first carol. The Clerk of Parliament, Mr. Cyril Nsian, read the first lesson. This was followed by a performance from the Presbytery Model Choir. Head of News at GBC News, Ms. Akushika Akwe, read the second lesson.
Because you have done this thing and have not withheld your son, your only son. Blessing, I will bless you, and multiplying, I will multiply your descendants as the stars of the heaven and as the sand which is on the seashore.
The Dagaba singing group delivered a very energetic carol. The minority leader, Dr. Kasil Atuforson, read the fifth lesson.
How will this be? Mary asked the angels, since I'm a virgin. The angel answered, the Holy Spirit will come on you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you.
Next was the Majority Leader, Mr. Osei Mensa Bonsu, with the 6th lesson.
So it was that while they were there, the days were completed for her to be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn.
The Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu read the 7th lesson.
Now when they had seen him, they made widely known the saying which was told them concerning this child. And all those who heard it marveled at those things which were told them by the shepherds.
It was then time for the 8th lesson, which was read by the Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Alban Bagbin.
When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. And when they had come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshipped him.
Special guest Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia read the 9th lesson.
He was in the world, and the world was made through him, and the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. But as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become children of God.
Themed are God Reigns, the MP for Ho West and President of the Parliamentary Christian Fellowship, Mr. Emmanuel Kwesi Bejra, expressed gratitude to God for keeping members throughout the year. The Vice Chairman of Muslim Caucus in Parliament emphasized the unity between Christians and Muslims in Parliament and called for similar unity between Ghanaians as the nation heads into the 2024 general elections. The Chairman of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Eric Nyamiche, urged the gathering to strive to have good name in all their dealings.
The reason why God lifted Jesus and did not give him, let's say, half of his universe, but gave him a name, was to underscore the importance of names. Your name is the best asset you have. Please value it.
Gospel musician Anaya Obuachi, better known as MOG, took the gathering home with uplifting and beautiful renditions.
Still in Parliament, the Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Alban Bagbin, says President Akufo-Addo's refusal to sign the 3 private members bill demonstrates a misunderstanding of the constitutional processes of the country. In his official response to the President, the Speaker on Friday, December 22, 2023, described the President's position as unfortunate. In a letter to the Parliament, President Akufo-Addo explained that his refusal to sign the Criminal Offence Amendment Bill 2023, numbers 1 and 2, and the Ghana Armed Forces Amendment Bill 2023 was a result of their financial implication on the Consolidated Fund and their contravention of the Constitution. The bill was sponsored by the MP for Madina, Mr. Francis Susu.
It is worth noting that the President nor Parliament has no power to declare an act unconstitutional. Out of the abundance of caution, I must note that Article 2(1) of the Constitution outlines that any allegation of any unconstitutionality must of necessity be grounded in a course of action before the Supreme Court. In the absence of a judicial determination from the Supreme Court, the President's unilateral assessment of unconstitutionality does not hold legal water. It is a departure from the established legal procedure, norms, and practices that govern our constitutional democracy. The appropriate lawful response, if there were genuine concerns about the constitutionality of the legislative action of this House, would have been to seek judicial review from the Supreme Court. The steps taken by the President in this matter reflect a misunderstanding of the constitutional process and undermine the principles that uphold our democratic governance. Honorable members, I want to emphasize that the constitutional responsibility to determine whether a bill falls under Article 108 or not is mandated, and it resides in the person presiding over the proceedings.
President Akufo-Addo has appointed Hajia Safia Mohammed as the new national coordinator of the Ghana School Feeding Program. Hajia Safia was the first national women's organizer of the NPP. A statement signed by the secretary to the president, Nana Santi-Bediutu, said the appointment takes immediate effect and urged her to carry out her duties with utmost professionalism and ensure the success of the program. The school feeding program was initiated by the government of Ghana in 2005 to provide food to children in public basic schools. You're still watching News Hour live on GBC News. Development partners and stakeholders from diverse institutions have discussed a long-term vision document that will highlight specific development targeted for Ghana by 2050. The National Development Summit conveyed by the National Development Planning Commission forms part of broader engagement towards drawing up a clear development framework to guide a long-term planning for the country.
The summit is expected to produce a long-term national development perspective framework to be known as the Ghana Vision 2057. It is a document to articulate the vision of Ghana from the perspective of the people by 2057 and set goals, objectives, strategic direction to pursue, and targets to be realized. The chairperson for Star Ghana Foundation, Dr. Esther Ofeabuaji, reiterated that the framework would serve as a reference point to the drafting of manifestos and provide governments with a clear path specifying the country's plans in the long term.
Governments and stakeholders in education have been called upon to pay more attention and support to early childhood institutions to offer a better education service to children at their early ages. Early childhood institutions have been classified as the third family system in Ghana, which demands adequate funding. This came up at the unveiling of Omanye Kids Foundation in Accra.
The foundation is a non-commercial institution aimed at empowering kids with innovative minds for problem solving. It is believed that society's development and peace depend on the kind of training children receive while growing up. The executive director and founder of the foundation, Nako Shilamte, called on government to invest more in early childhood educational institutions to deliver good services to kids in every community.
Now on the foreign front, the death toll from the explosion and fire at Guinea's Mainfield depot rose to 23 on Thursday, according to the government, while in Conakry, clashes broke out between security forces and groups of young people protesting against the lack of petrol at service stations.
On Sunday night, the blast and subsequent fire in the port area of Kowloon, Conakry's administrative and business district, caused extensive material damage and brought the economy to a standstill. The fire caused 23 deaths and 241 injuries, the government announced in a statement broadcast on state television on Thursday evening.
The UN Security Council approves a resolution aiming to bring more aid into Gaza following days of negotiations, but the statement does not call for an immediate ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, instead calling to create the conditions for one. The vote had been into limbo after the U.S. voiced widespread concern with an early draft it obtained in the final vote alongside Russia. Are live on GBC News and Governance Channel. We'll bring you updates in our subsequent bulletin at 2 p.m. Until then, enjoy the rest of our programs. Have a good morning.